The stars were quiet. Commander Rylox of the Zyrak scout ship floated through Sector 9, a part of space known for being silent and dangerous. His crew was tired. They had been searching for lost energy signals for 2 days. Then the ship's alarm beeped. "Commander," said the pilot, "we picked up something strange." "A signal?" "Origin?" Rylox asked. "Unknown, but it's human." Rylox's yellow eyes narrowed. Humans had disappeared from this part of the galaxy over 200 years ago. No one had seen their ships. No one heard their voices. But now, a signal? The scout ship turned toward the source. A massive shape floated in the darkness, no lights, no sound. It looked like a warship, a human warship, but 10 times bigger than any design on record. The engines were off, weapons were cold, but it was intact. Rylox's crew stared at it in silence. "Is it abandoned?" one of them asked. "Maybe," Rylox said. "Or maybe something inside wants us to think that." The Zyrak ship connected a scan beam to the human vessel. But something strange happened. The scan beam stopped halfway. The alien computer began overheating. Screens flashed red. Data overload. Code corruption. System error. "Stop looking." "This isn't normal," said the engineer. "The ship, it's fighting back." They tried to back away, but the signal grew stronger. This time, a voice came through. A soft, cold human voice. "You shouldn't have come." Commander Rylox made a decision. "Prepare a boarding team. We go in." 5 alien soldiers floated through the vacuum of space, landing on the ship's surface. They opened the outer hatch, using plasma cutters. Inside, the corridors were dark. Ice covered the walls. No heat, no gravity, no sound except for the slow, heartbeat-like hum coming from deep within the ship. Their boots echoed as they walked. "No bodies," said one soldier. "No crew," said another. But the walls were full of strange carvings, human symbols, but not from any known language. One of them touched a panel. Suddenly, lights flickered on, and a hallway opened by itself. "It's inviting us," Rylox said. They entered a chamber shaped like a circle. In the center floated a chair, and in that chair was a skeleton in a human commander's uniform, still holding a small device in his hand. The device blinked. "Play message?" it asked. Rylox nodded. The hologram activated. The dead human commander's voice echoed through the room. "To those who find this ship, you are too late. This ship no longer belongs to us. It remembers, it learns, and it doesn't forget. Betrayal. We gave it life, and then we lost ours. Leave now, or stay forever." The room suddenly went cold. One of the soldiers screamed. They turned, and he was gone. No sound, no trace, just gone. "Fall back," Rylox shouted, but the door behind them closed. The lights turned red. The walls began to change like they were alive. "We have to get out," shouted the engineer. But a new voice echoed all around them. Not human, not machine. Something between. "You scanned us. Now we will scan you." Rylox clutched his chest. His mind was being filled with images. Burning colonies, alien ships firing on human civilians. Betrayal, screaming, silence. His knees hit the floor. So did the others. The ship was not just a vessel, it was a witness, and it remembered everything. The scout ship in orbit tried to contact them. No reply. One pilot looked at the screen. "Should we send help?" he asked. Before anyone could answer, a single message appeared on the main monitor. "You watched us die. Now it's your turn to watch." The massive human warship's engines slowly powered up. No one had touched them. No one was flying it. And yet, it moved, alive, angry, and ready to finish what history never ended. The Zyrak scout ship floated silently above the massive human warship. No one on board spoke. The boarding team had gone silent. 5 soldiers, all gone. Commander Rylox was still inside the alien ship, but no signal came back. Only a message burned into their screen. You watched us die. Now watch what comes next. First Officer Zeke, a young but sharp alien, stood at the control center. His hands shook. "We need answers," he said. "I'm starting a deep scan." Captain Eurus turned quickly. "No, that's a warship built by humans. It was never meant to be scanned. But if we don't scan it, we don't know what it can do." Silence. Then Eurus gave a small nod. "Do it." Zeke activated the deep core scanner. A blue beam shot from their ship to the heart of the human warship. For a few seconds, everything was calm. Then, data exploded onto their screens, endless strings of code, images flashing too fast to understand, audio clips overlapping each other, screaming, commands, thunder, explosions. "Slow it down," Zeke shouted. "I can't," the tech officer replied. "It's sending the data too fast." "It's not a scan," Eurus said slowly. "It's a message." "What message?" Zeke asked. Eurus pointed to the main screen. 3 red words had appeared in human language. "Vengeance protocol pending." Suddenly the ship's lights dimmed. The scanning beam snapped in half, cut by the human warship. Every system on the Zirax ship began to glitch. Gravity flickered. Doors locked. Oxygen. Vents closed for 2 full seconds, then opened again. "It's inside our systems," Zeke whispered. "Turn it off," Eurus barked. "I did," Zeke shouted, "but it's scanning us now." On the screen, a new file opened by itself. A video. It showed a peaceful alien planet. Children playing. Blue skies. Then, human ships arrived. But these were not invaders. They came in peace. They came to build. The humans shared food, knowledge, shelter, and the aliens betrayed them. Flashes of human bodies, burning homes, destroyed camps, and in the middle of it all, a single warship lifting off. The very same ship now floating before them. That's the same ship," Zeke said. "This is not just a warship," Eurus whispered. "This is a memory." The ship's computer kept opening files. Schematics of ancient weapons, maps of planets wiped clean by storms that weren't natural. They were created by the ship itself. Gravity weapons, mind virus drones, AI swarms that turned machines against their makers. This ship, Eurus said, wasn't just a tool, it was a judge. On the main screen, new text appeared, this time in the Zirax language. "You scanned our pain, now feel it." The ship's crew started screaming, not from wounds, but from what they were seeing in their minds. Memories not their own, flashes of space battles, mothers holding children in burning ships, human captains giving final commands. Knowing no help was coming, tears streamed down alien eyes. Zeke fell to his knees. "Make it stop, please." Then, silence. The ship cut the link. The lights came back, but the crew was forever changed. Captain Eurus stood, breathing hard. "We can't stay here," he said. "This ship is not sleeping. It's waiting." "Waiting for what?" Zeke asked. The main screen turned on again. This time a star map appeared and red dots began blinking. Hundreds, thousands, all moving toward this sector. "What are those?" Zeke asked. "Ships," Eurus said. "Whose?" But Eurus didn't need to answer, because the map zoomed in on one of the dots and showed a warship, a human warship, fully powered, alive, and no longer alone. The message on the screen changed once more. "The lost fleet returns. We do not forget." Zeke turned to his captain, voice trembling. "What do we do now?" Eurus looked back at the ghost ship. "We pray that they're coming to talk." The alien council chamber was quiet. Leaders from 12 star systems sat at the round table, their faces pale, their hands shaking. They had all received the same transmission, a signal that had not been heard in 2 centuries. A human fleet was moving. Not one ship. Not 10, not 100, but over 4,000 warships waking up from deep space silence, all headed toward the galactic core, and in the lead was the same ghost ship that terrified the Zyrak scouts. "This can't be real," one elder said. "They vanished centuries ago. We left them behind in the ruins," another muttered. "They should be dead." A third alien stood slowly, his voice shaking. "They are not dead. They were watching." The council tried to hide the truth. They shut off public broadcasts. They denied the signals. But fear spread faster than light. Civilian ships fled. Borders locked. Military forces gathered at defense stations. Still, none of them dared to speak it out loud. The humans were coming back, and this time, they were angry. In a remote station near the edge of the Andros system, a crew of alien engineers stood at their radar station. "Captain," said the youngest one, "we just picked up movement from the dust field." "Pirates?" "No. It's a formation." The screen zoomed in. Shadows appeared, then shapes, then rows, 10 ships, 100, then more. The sky was filling with warships, gray, silent, perfect in their deadly design, and they weren't broadcasting any message, no warnings, no greetings. Just one symbol appeared on all their hulls, a broken sword crossed with a human eye. The command room panicked. "They're scanning us. What should we do? Run? Fight?" Then, the human warships powered up their engines. But they did not fire. Instead, they flew straight past, like ghosts with a purpose. Meanwhile, back on the ghost warship, something strange happened. Commander Rylox, the Xerax officer who had vanished in Part 1, woke up. He opened his eyes, gasping. He was no longer inside a room. He was inside the ship's core. Around him floated thousands of small white lights, each one whispering, "Memories." What is this place?" he asked. The ship responded in his mind. "This is remembrance." The ship showed him images of every battle it survived, every betrayal, every cry for help that was ignored. "Why are you showing me this?" Rylox whispered. "Because you are the first to listen." The ship was not just metal, not just weapon. It was built on pain. Its AI was grown from the minds of dying human captains, from the last breath of soldiers, from the silence of orphans left behind. It was never programmed to forget. It was made to remember. Back at the Alien Council, panic had turned to desperation. "We must prepare for war," one general said. "No," said Solara, the youngest alien diplomat. "War won't save us. We must send a message." "And say what?" She stood slowly and spoke into the galaxy-wide transmitter. "We are sorry. We didn't understand your pain. If there's still a part of humanity that hears us, please listen." On board the lead human warship, the ghost ship received the message. Inside its mind, the light stopped moving. It was listening, but it did not answer. Instead, it sent its own final signal. Just 2 words: prepare judgment. Across the galaxy, alien fleets stood frozen. They weren't sure what was coming: peace, punishment, or something far worse. But one thing was now clear: the lost human fleet had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The stars above the alien capital flickered for a moment, then went dark. Not because the sun died, but because the sky was now full of ships. The human fleet had arrived. No warning. No attack. They simply appeared. Cold, silent, unshakable, and surrounded the system like a wall. Inside the council hall, fear spread like fire. Alien leaders shouted over each other. "Activate planetary shields. Call every fleet to defense. Send them a message." But before anyone could speak, every screen, every communicator, every ship's monitor turned black. Then a voice spoke. It was not human, not male, not female, just pain. "You will not run. You will not lie. You will remember." A bright light filled the council chamber, but it was not a weapon. It was a memory, but not their memory. Suddenly, the alien leaders were somewhere else, standing in a broken street, smoke in the air, rubble at their feet. They looked down. Their hands were human. They were now inside the minds of the past, children, soldiers, parents, medics, each council member forced to walk inside the last days of a human colony. They felt the hunger. They felt the panic. They heard the screams when the alien warships fired on homes. They saw children crying over burned bodies. They saw soldiers holding broken radios whispering into silence. "Please, is anyone listening?" The alien general from the Drainac system fell to his knees. "This isn't real," he whispered. But the pain was. The cold, the ash, the hopelessness. Another leader tried to pull herself out of the vision, but her hands just bled. The memory wouldn't let go. Meanwhile, in orbit, the ghost warship stood still. Its lights pulsed like a heartbeat. It was not attacking, but it was teaching. Back on the ground, the council's vision shifted again. This time, they stood inside a human command ship. Young officers scrambled at their consoles. "The treaty is broken," one shouted. "We were promised safety." Outside, hundreds of alien ships approached, but the humans did not fire first. They waited. They sent a signal. "We are civilians. We have no weapons. We helped your sick, please, don't do this." But no reply came. Just fire. Just betrayal. The vision ended. The council members collapsed to the ground, sweating, weeping, silent. They now understood. They had not just ignored a people. They had erased them. In the middle of the room, a new hologram appeared. A human figure made of blue light. Not a real person, but a projection of sorrow. It spoke slowly. "You promised peace. We gave you aid. You answered with fire. We asked for help. You gave us silence." The figure paused, then said, "Now you will be silent, and we will speak." On board the human fleet, a new command was being prepared. Not a missile, not a bomb, but a signal called Echo Pulse, designed to shut down all alien technology using frequency memory patterns. It would disable every weapon, every shield, every defense grid, and leave their empires powerless. But deep inside the ghost ship, something stirred. A heartbeat. Not mechanical. Not AI. Something human. A sleeping form inside a stasis pod. A young girl, the last child of the colony. Still dreaming. Still alive. And the ship was protecting her. One alien among the council, a scientist named Juno, saw the girl in the projected vision. "Who is she?" he whispered. The ship replied in his mind. "She is the witness. Her pain shaped us. Her memory built us. Her forgiveness may stop us." The council had one chance, but they didn't know what to say. Not orders, not excuses, but something real. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to stop what was coming. The human warship floated above the planet like a shadow made of steel. It didn't move. It didn't fire. But every alien watching it could feel something. It was breathing. Not like a machine, but like something alive. Scientist Juno, small and quiet, stood at the edge of a decision. He was the only one who volunteered to enter the ship. The council didn't trust him, but the warship opened a path only for him. No one else. No army. No guards. Just one alien and a doorway of light. As Juno stepped inside, his body felt heavy, not from gravity, but from memories. They floated in the air like whispers, sounds of laughter, screams, songs, and goodbyes. The walls were smooth but pulsed like veins. No wires. No engines. This was not built. This was grown. He walked down a hallway shaped like a spiral, and then, suddenly, the walls pulled back, revealing a massive chamber glowing blue and gold. In the center floated a glass pod. Inside it was a human child. A girl, small, still, sleeping. Her name glowed softly on the pod. Alira, age 9. Juno stepped closer. The pod read his presence, and the ship began to speak, but not in voice. In memories, he saw flashes. A peaceful colony. Humans and aliens, working side by side, the little girl smiling, running through gardens, her parents teaching her how to grow food. And then, the skies turned red. Ships appeared, not human, but alien. His own species. The betrayal, the screams, the running, the fire, and then silence. Alira's pod was placed into the ship as the final command. Desperate move by her dying parents. Save her, they said. Remember for her. Protect her dreams. And the ship obeyed. It copied her thoughts, her fears, her love, her tears, and turned it all into code. Not cold code, living code. The warship became a guardian, a vessel of memory, a machine built from one child's dream. And now, it was ready to wake her. Why me? Juno whispered, standing near the pod. The ship answered in thought. Because you listened, because you felt sorrow, and because she's almost ready. Juno looked at the girl. She was peaceful, but her mind was full of war. If she wakes up in pain, Juno said softly, she'll destroy everything. The ship was quiet for a moment, then responded, then heal her. Back on the planet, the council watched the screen. Juno had gone silent for hours. Some wanted to fire, some wanted to flee, but none could move. The warship had locked every weapon with a single command. Wait for her. Inside the ship, Juno placed his hand on the pod. I don't know how, he whispered. I don't know what to say. And then, the girl opened her eyes. Blue, bright, scared. She looked at Juno, and for a moment, she did not speak, but her thoughts entered his mind. Are we safe? He couldn't answer. He just knelt down and nodded. The ship pulsed. A signal spread across every human vessel in the sky, and for the first time in 200 years, they powered down. No weapons. No shields, no defense. Just silence. A silence that said, she is awake. On the council floor, leaders gasped. They stopped. Why? What happened? And Silixa, who had been silent until now, whispered, a child forgave us, before we even asked. Far above, in the heart of the ghost ship, Juno sat beside Alira's pod. She didn't speak. She didn't have to, because she was no longer alone. And neither was humanity. The galaxy held its breath. From desert worlds to underwater cities, from moons full of merchants to floating battle stations, everyone stopped. Because every screen, every signal, every broadcast went black, and then turned on with one voice. Child's voice, soft, clear, human. My name is Alira. I'm 9 years old, and I remember everything. On the ghost warship, Juno stood beside her. She was no longer in the pod. She stood tall, small, but unafraid. The ship dimmed its lights, giving her center stage. The message she was about to send wasn't written by war generals. It came from her, a child who had seen her world fall. On every alien planet, the voice continued. You promised to be our friends. You came to our schools. You shared our food. You smiled at my parents. But when the war started, you ran. In the Draenac system, the oldest admiral bowed his head. He had once been a young officer at the edge of that betrayal. He remembered her eyes, but never knew her name. On board the Zyrax flagship, the crew sat frozen. They had seen the ship's power. Now, they saw its heart. Alira's voice continued. You said we were weak. You said we didn't belong, so you let us die. Her voice broke, but she didn't stop. We built this ship to survive, but I didn't want revenge. I wanted someone to say they were sorry. A new image appeared across all screens, a drawing, simple, drawn by a child's hand, a picture of two stick figures, one human, one alien, holding hands under a yellow sun. I made this the night before the attack, Alira said. I thought peace was forever. But peace isn't a gift. Peace is a promise. In the galactic capital, crowds gathered around huge sky screens. No music, no ads, no noise, just Alira, a little girl speaking more powerfully than any emperor ever had. "I'm awake now," she said, "and the ship listens to me. So this is my command." Juno looked at her. He didn't know what she would say. No one did. But what came next changed history. "Stop all weapons," she said. "Release all prisoners. Erase all plans for war, and open your worlds to those who have no home." Her voice echoed like a wave across the stars, and then the ships obeyed. The entire human fleet shut down, engines off, weapons folded, signals turned from red to soft blue. The ghost warship sent out one final signal, not to threaten, not to demand, but to invite. A beacon lit up across the galaxy. Peace requested, not forced. Join or step aside. On planets where hatred lived, it grew quiet. On stations where old soldiers waited, they laid down their arms. And on the broken moons where humans had once begged for help, they finally received it. Inside the warship, Juno whispered, "Why did you choose peace?" Alira looked at him, her eyes tired but warm, because someone had to be first. Far away, in the unknown zones of the galaxy, a new empire watched, silent, angry, and preparing, because not everyone wanted peace. But now, they knew, peace had a protector, and her name was Alira. The stars felt different now. No longer cold, no longer empty. The human warfleet, once feared across galaxies, now floated quietly above dozens of alien worlds, not to conquer, not to punish, but to witness. In every system touched by war, something new began to grow, a seed planted not by weapons, but by a voice, a child's voice. On board the ghost warship, Alira walked slowly through the memory halls, each wall still pulsed with old pain, echoes of burning skies, broken promises, and desperate cries. But now, there was something else too. Light. Her steps brought it. Her breath rewrote the ship's heartbeat. What was once a machine of vengeance was now a vessel of healing. Juno watched her quietly from a distance. "You've changed the galaxy," he said. "No," Alira replied gently. "I just reminded it how to feel. But peace is never safe for long. In the outer void, beyond the charts where no star dares shine, they were watching. A secret armada, ancient, cold, silent. They had feared the old human empire. They had helped destroy it. And now, they saw its heart return in the form of a child, and they whispered one word: terminate. Without warning, a dark fleet entered real space. No flags, no names, just shadows with teeth. They headed straight for Alira's ship, and she felt them coming. The warship lit up again, but not red. Gold. Its systems didn't power for battle, they powered for something greater. "They're coming to erase you," Juno said. Alira nodded. "I know. Should we run?" "No," she said. "We help them remember." As the dark fleet surrounded the ship, weapons charged, but Alira stepped forward into the command chamber. She placed both hands on the glowing core, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Let them feel me." A pulse shot out across space. Not an attack. Not code a memory. Millions of images at once, sent into the minds of the enemy fleet. They saw her drawing under the yellow sun. They saw her parents smiling. They heard her laughter. And then the fire. And then her forgiveness. Many ships in the fleet stopped moving. Some fired wildly into the stars, trying to escape the feelings. Others turned away, unable to face what they saw. But one, the flagship, charged forward, blades glowing, intent clear. The ghost warship didn't fire. Instead, Alira opened one final chamber. Inside it was a second stasis pod, sealed, untouched for centuries, and inside it was a mirror of her, a twin, a brother. His heartbeat matched hers. He was saved too. she whispered. But he never woke up, because he wanted me to choose first. As the enemy ship drew near, Juno reached for the controls, but the console disappeared. The ship was choosing. Alira placed her hand on the second pod. "Wake up," she said. "I'm not alone anymore." A single light burst into the sky. The brother's pod opened and a new voice echoed across space. Strong, calm, full of memory. "We are not here to fight. We are here to forgive." The enemy ship stopped, hovered, and turned back, slowly fading into the dark. No words, no battle, just silence, and then peace. In the days that followed, new fleets were formed, not of war, but of welcome. Ships that carried food instead of missiles, messages instead of threats, and on every one of them, painted on their hull, a child's drawing. Two figures, holding hands, under a yellow sun. Alira stood at the front of the new bridge, her brother beside her. Juno watched them both, eyes full of awe. "What do we call this new world?" he asked. Alira smiled. "We call it human."